All right, today we're going to look at business growth in a totally different way. Not as some frantic race to the finish line, but more like a carefully composed piece of music. Let's dive into what's called strategic orchestration. It's a whole framework for creating success that actually lasts.
So let's just start with this question. Forget all the usual business metaphors you hear, the battles and the races. What if a CEO is less like a general and more like a conductor? What if every single part of your company is an instrument and they all need to be played in perfect harmony? That one little shift in perspective, it can change absolutely everything.
And this brings us right to our core idea, strategic orchestration. So what is it? Well, it's the art of managing all your different paths to growth, we'll call them levers, at the same time. And the goal isn't just to get bigger. It's about growth that's strong, resilient, and really built to last. It's the difference between creating a masterpiece and just making a lot of noise.
Okay, so if we're going to conduct a symphony, the first thing we need to do is understand our orchestra, right? What are the instruments we actually have to work with?
Look, the first thing to get straight is that this is not about chasing one single metric, like top-line revenue. That's kind of like telling only the trumpets to play louder and louder while you completely ignore the rest of the orchestra. True, sustainable expansion comes from knowing exactly how and when to use every single instrument you've got.
So what are these instruments? They're the basics, the fundamental levers of your business. Think of pricing as your piano. It sets the financial key. Distribution, that's your rhythm section, setting the pace for how you deliver. Product innovation is like your string section, creating that beautiful melody. And customer experience? Well, that's the harmony that holds the whole thing together. Yeah, each one can create growth on its own, but the real magic happens when they all play in concert.
But, it gets even more complex and, honestly, more beautiful. The really advanced conductors are moving beyond a simple straight-line model where you just make something and sell it to something way more dynamic. This quote here points to networked value exchange. Think about platform businesses. This is where your partners, your customers, even your competitors are all part of the orchestra, all creating value together. It's a whole new level of composition.
But look, having a great orchestra isn't enough. A conductor needs discipline. You have to have it to turn all that potential into real harmony instead of just chaos.
For any business leader, the temptation is always there, isn't it? Push for more, go faster, unchecked expansion. It's basically the same as telling every musician to play as loud as they can with no regard for the tempo or the rhythm. And what's the result? A total cacophony. It's noise, not music.
This visual just captures that core tension perfectly. On one side, you've got the fire of unchecked expansion, and on the other, the beautiful harmony of disciplined scaling. The real key is knowing when to push the tempo and when to hold back, making sure every single decision serves the overall composition.
So how do you actually enforce that discipline? Well, it comes down to 3 core rules. First, is your growth profitable? You can't just burn cash forever. Second, is it repeatable? Can you build a system for this growth, or was it just a one-time stroke of luck? And third, is it aligned with your capacity? Can your team, your technology, your operations, can they actually handle the growth you're creating? These are the things that create true harmony.
Okay, so you're conducting a masterpiece. The orchestra is disciplined, it's harmonious, but how do you protect it? This brings us to the idea of building strategic moats to, fortify your performance.
Just think about it this way. You could have the best orchestra in the world, playing the most incredible symphony. But if the walls of the concert hall are crumbling, it's not going to last. Moats are those walls. They're the strategic defenses that protect your growth from competitors and make sure it can be sustained for the long haul.
All right, first up is the technological moat. This is your unique patent, your proprietary algorithm. Basically, it's the secret sauce that nobody else can easily copy.
Next is your brand. And this isn't just about a logo, right? It's the deep trust and loyalty you've built with your customers. It's the reason they choose you, even when a competitor might be a little bit cheaper.
Then you've got your regulatory moats. These are things like licenses, permits, all the compliance hurdles you've already cleared that make it really, really difficult for new players to even get into the game.
And finally, we have the ecosystem moat. This ties all the way back to that idea of networked value we talked about. When your platform becomes more valuable to every single user as more users join, you create this powerful, self-reinforcing defense. It's incredible.
But a truly great conductor knows that the performance doesn't just exist in a bubble. You have to listen to the world that's going on beyond the concert hall's walls. Modern strategy absolutely has to account for external risks. A geopolitical storm, a huge regulatory shift, a global economic downturn. These are events that are totally outside your control, but they can completely disrupt your performance if you're not ready for them.
This table here breaks it down so clearly. Geopolitical volatility. That's not just a headline, it's a direct threat to your supply chain. New regulations could suddenly cut off your access to a market. And of course, economic cycles, they determine the flow of capital you need to keep growing. A skilled conductor sees these shifts coming and builds that resilience right into the score itself.
And that brings us to our finale. We've defined the instruments, we've understood the need for discipline, we've built our defenses, and we've listened to the world outside. Now, the conductor's baton is in your hands.
So ultimately, what we've really explored today is a fundamental shift in how we define success. The goal of strategic orchestration isn't just growth for the sake of growth. It's about creating a performance, a business that is resilient, harmonious, and truly sustainable. It's about creating value that echoes long, long after any single quarter's results are forgotten.
So I'll just leave you with this final question. When you really listen to your own organization, what do you hear? Is it a beautiful, coordinated symphony, moving with purpose and intention, or is it just a lot of noise? The answer to that question will define your future.